Greetings everyone, and welcome to Read at Night. See, I got done taking a nice shower and getting a real good shave with my straight razor, which I've really come to enjoy. And if you haven't seen me talk about straight razors, video up there, go check it out. Anyways, I was laying there, getting all ready for bed, kind of sitting there resting. I'm like, yeah, I got stuff in my mind, I need to do something. And that happens to me. I get real insomniac type of person at times and just really gotta get into something else and do it, and then I can finally rest. Gotta put it to done. If you can't tell, I'm a little OCD at times. Okay, Lee's out there probably yelling, "Little, you're crazy OCD at times." Anyways, so I have wanted to go back and revisit my hot water shower thing. And if you haven't seen that video, links up here so you can check that thing out. But we're going to talk about endless solar hot water for you, even in SHTF. Sounds good, right? Well, what it is, I have a little tiny hot water heater. It is a 7-gallon electric hot water heater. Little tiny thing, right? It is the only hot water source for my entire house. Yes, Leah and I use this for showering, bathing. It fills stuff up for doing dishes. It feeds the dishwasher. It feeds the washing machine. It does all of this. And it's 7 gallons in size. What strange black magic have I done? We'll get to that real quick. But I did some calculations here. They're important. Let's talk about them. All right. So I'll throw the picture up. You can see a second here. All right, that is related to, I plugged in an electric meter, stuff like that, tested it against, one of my clamp meters, and it was a little bit 5% over. 5% over is fine, so I know it's going to report more energy usage than the thing is really doing, which is just fine. I just needed to know the energy usage. Close enough, at least, so that I could calculate how much I'm actually dealing with on that. So I ran the thing. The project started at 6:29 at 2:20 a.m. Yeah, I mentioned I'm up late a lot. I'm just that way. And then it ended on 10:03 at 20:58. You can call it 2100 hours. Either way on that. Works well enough, right? So we got to run everything for 95.77 days. That's a fairly long time. Bit over 3 months, and it gives you a good variety of all sorts of stuff. Doing lots of laundry, having lots of dirty clothes, lots of dishes, lots of stuff going on, right? And so you have the heavy days and the light. I didn't want to do it for like a week because that just doesn't really give you a good answer of what's going on. So I did that. So out of all 95.77 days, the system used 152 kilowatt hours. Interesting, right? That averages out to 1.58 kilowatt hours per day. That's pretty darn small, very light, very simple. And so it's effectively, if we use the commercial rates that they're talking about around here, 15.5 cents per kilowatt hour. I know, that's pretty high. It's not what it is yet with the plan, but let's say it is 15.5 cents, right? Then that costs me a quarter a day. It's literally, 24.6 cents. So a quarter a day to run it. All right. Now you run that out. Okay, so the whole 95 point something days, it comes out to 23.56. Not too much bad on money. You run that for a whole year on the projection, it's going to be about $89 to run this for the whole year. Okay, and it's supplying stuff like that. Now the key thing about this, it's a little tiny hot water heater. It's electric. Electric's not really the most efficient. Okay, it's actually very inefficient. But you can get electric ones that are heat pump designs that are very efficient. Okay, but I wasn't going that route. I was going for something different. And this is where serious prepping, serious planning, and all these things start to come into play. You see all these other people talk about these things, talk about, oh, I can do this, or I can do that, or I'll get this big giant solar system and all that. Well, that's where you, like I say, you run into problems, okay? People are trying to preserve a very high-end lifestyle, and they're going to spend a fortune doing it. If you can alter the way you live, make concessions, plan things out differently, there's other options for you. Okay? And the idea for me was like, what other option is there? I mean, if you've got an endless tankless hot water heater that uses electricity, and you're like, yeah, I'll get a solar system for that. Good luck. Those things take a massive amount of energy to do it. And to be able to raise, like if you were up north, right? Raise it to hot showering water, like 110, 120 degrees. Yeah, you're going to be pushing like 250, 300 amps. Yeah, really, at 200 volts. I am not kidding. It's insane when you're trying to push up water that's coming in at like 34 degrees up to 120 instantaneously. It's pretty nutty. Now, of course, you can do this with natural gas or propane, right? Get those, big old 3/4 inch to 1 inch pipe feed into them. They get going, light up. Yeah, that'll work. So like that. But the problem is if like you're aiming for the electrical option, you need to provide that amount of peak power. That isn't simple. In fact, that alone on a generator, that's a pretty good sized generator. Okay. And then, you look at propane, natural gas. How are you getting your gas? Yeah, you're on the grid and stuff like that. If we're trying to be self-sustaining, moving on and doing things, we got to come up with other options. Okay. So what about a heat pump, right, design? Well, most of the heat pump designs are fairly large tanks. They're very traditional. It's around 60 gallons I've seen, right, 50 to 60 gallons, and I've seen big ones that are 80 and 100, right? They're expensive. They're a couple $1,000s, and they have a high energy draw, okay? Now, overall, for what they do and how they make their water, they are more efficient. Problem is their peak power requirement is like 2 or 3 kilowatts. Okay, actually I think sometimes 4 kilowatts, and it's pretty up there. It's a fair amount of inverter power to do this. Okay, now this guy, which I will show you in just a minute, we'll get around and look at the whole system. It is 110 volt. Okay, and it uses 1400 watts. Okay, and it will heat itself completely up in about 44 minutes, 43 minutes, right? Now, one of the other things about a small hot water heater, okay, is as the water cools over the night and when it's cold or whatever, and it has to reheat itself, it doesn't take much energy to heat that volume back up to temperature. Smaller the insulated container on this, the easier it is to keep the water at the right temperature, okay? A lot more difficult if you have a much bigger one, like a 40 or 50 gallon. You're going to use a lot more energy bringing that back up to temperature. Okay. So you're probably thinking, Reed, okay, I get that. I see what you're saying and stuff. Well, what are you aiming for? Now, I'm all for using solar methods to heat water. We got the solar collector options. There's those funky looking parabol solar focusers, concentrators to heat up water. So like that. That is really nice. I mean, that is a really good use of resources. Only problem is if you don't preserve enough or you end up needing something like that or something else goes on, you may not have a source of hot water until you're going to have to like boil something when you need it. And it's a big delay. The other thing is like, say you worked on the farm, you're worked out and stuff, you got all these things going on post SHTF. I mean, you're coming in sweaty as heck, grimy, you're exhausted, and you realize you have more work to do to get a shower ready, okay? And you realize, oh geez, this is a never-ending day, right? But say you actually had hot water at night on demand, and you could just turn on, get in the shower, clean up, get all of that off of you, and then head off to bed. The morale boost on that is just crazy good. I mean, I'm certain military people can talk about this greatly. Amazingly good morale boost of being able to come in, have a hot shower, clean up, get some chow, go to sleep. I mean, it is immensely wonderful to have that nice hot bath. It just is like one of these things that makes us feel human again, really helps restore us. And I consider it really important. The other times is hot water can be very helpful in medical issues. And I've run into that myself, or help getting other things cleaned up, everything like that. On-demand hot water is real handy. So actually having a small hot water tank was a really good option. Now, there is a little bit difference than what you may think how this is going to work. In fact, there's a lot of differences on this because I did a little creativeness on the plumbing. Yep, that's good old Reed making changes on stuff. Well, let's actually get to the meat and potatoes here. Start going through this. Okay, you'll have to bear with me as we go through this, and I'll be in some odd angles. I'm going to try to keep myself mostly out of the way. But we got to explain this. Here is obviously a little hot water tank. Now this is made by Bosch, and it's a, I'll get the exact model number and stuff and put it in the description. Go check out the description for the exact model on this. They're about $160 to $200. You just got to look around. Good investment. I'm going to be getting a couple spares and so on to also have these additional working and stuff like that. And it's not hard to set up. It's also very easy to move. It's small and everything. Now this is set at max temperature. It gets this whole thing as hot as it can. All right. Now that kind of hot water, it can be a real danger. All right. But it's also the advantage we need. And in fact, even pairing this with like commercial grade ones, but I haven't found one in the right size range I want yet. But a commercial grade one that would do 180 degrees would be really good. And what the idea is we have this small volume of very hot water, okay, in an insulated vessel. Not much energy is going in to keep it that hot and stuff like that, and it stays here. So up here is the hot output, and the blue tube going in down there, that's the cold input. Now you also see the T over there. Yeah, see the T down here, okay? That's where cold water comes up to this side of the mixing valve. So we have hot water here, cold water here. And then this part right here, whoops. Now this part right here, that is the output. So this thing has an adjustable valve. Let me get to the top. And so this valve, you can twist and move back and forth to get the temperature where you want. It uses a, a paraffin wax to control the temperature mixing, okay? So what happens is the hot water as it goes in here melts the paraffin, which causes this to move, and through some other magic that I haven't really figured out because I haven't taken them apart yet, lets it mix so that the desired temperature is matched up. So even though you got really, really hot water, mixes with the cold water, and then you get lower temperature water. Oops, let me get this back on so it doesn't go, there we go, snapped on. All right, so what's the point of mixing this hot water that's really, really hot with cold water on the output? Well, this is no longer 7 gallons of hot water it's going to provide me. It's going to provide more than 7 gallons of hot water because it has to be mixed with cold water to drop the temperature down. You kind of see what I'm saying? So instead of this functioning like, a 7-gallon hot water tank set at 120 degrees, it functions more like around a 15-gallon hot water tank. Yeah, crazy, huh? And in the summer, when the water from the tap is around 80 degrees, boy, does it really give you a big boost of hot water. It runs for quite a while at my desired temperature. And I really like that because I'm only dealing with keeping this small vessel at the right temperature. The other thing is, like I said, it's 1400 watts. That is not a big amount of stress on my solar system at all. See, at night, my solar system has the ability to store 20 kilowatt hours. Okay, so as long as we're under 20 kilowatt hours for the night, we're good. And this, even when I have to run the washing machine, do other things like that, and this has to go a couple times, where I end up using 4 kilowatts of juice dealing with the hot water, I haven't horribly depleted my batteries, okay? This is really, really good. So you can deal with all that other stuff like that, and some days we've been, pretty heavy-handed on what we're dealing with, what we're fixing. But I haven't had the, gone past my beyond 50% depth of discharge on my lead acid batteries, because that's where I go for. That's my budget. So I have my budget and I stay under it. And that's really good. Now, there are limitations, okay? Right? It's not like I take a shower and then, I get out real quick and then Lee jumps in and takes her shower and we get going real fast in the morning. Then, say, oh, let's run the washing machine and the dishwasher, all that together. No. You have a lifestyle change. Real prepping involves thinking through lifestyle changes and alterations to how you do things. So it means I get up and I take a shower early, okay? Or Lee takes a shower early if we're doing showers in the morning. And then we do some cooking, and this thing's ready to get in about 35, 40 minutes, because I don't use the whole container of water. I use a bit less, actually. So, like 30, actually it's around 30 minutes. This thing's ready to go again. All topped off, lights off, ready to go. Okay? So then she goes in and gets her shower. So you space something out. So like if you're gonna do some laundry, you space laundry away from showers and stuff like that. So you do a little bit of planning and stuff. And for us, this is fine. Now, one of the things we do have a problem is she likes to take a bath on occasion. There's not enough hot water to get a nice big bathtub of water that she really wants, that she likes. So I'm gonna get another one of these, hook it up in parallel, and it'll be turned on and off by a switch. So if she decides, hey, I'd like a bath tonight, you turn it on, get it ready, and then you output, the hot water into the bathtub, and you're all set. And you can turn the other one off. It's a good idea. Now, let's take a look at another piece here. Okay, now we got more stuff here, okay? Ignore this pipe and this pipe. That's for the other piece of the demonstration, okay? But here's the other parts to getting this work. Here's an expansion tank. My water system in my house is what's called a closed system, okay? So that means that the water doesn't have any place to go inside the pipes, okay? When this thing heats up water, water expands. And so stuff goes backwards and it wants to go somewhere or out of here. Well, in this case, it goes into this expansion tank. So this takes the overflow as the water expands and fills up a ways. It's very handy. I've also got here a scale reducer. It helps prevent scale from building up inside the hot water heater. I consider it handy because the water heater is ridiculously hard. Now, and this stuff is sitting inside my bathroom. I've prototyped it, I understand how it works really well, and I'm gonna start putting it away into its final permanent locations finally. And I'll take you along as we do all that and teach you everything I know about what the heck we're doing. But that's why I say prototyping stuff is important. One of the other things, when you are serious about prepping, when you start digging into stuff, playing with stuff, learning this stuff, be prepared to do weird things in odd places of the house just to figure out if it works or not. That's really important. Because like if someone said, hey, I'm going to put a 7-gallon hot water tank in my house to run the entire house, people are like, what? Are you out of your mind? Yeah, exactly. So like that. So for a bigger family, I'd say 2 of these could do it. Or maybe like a 10 or 12 gallon. But kind of hard to vary, and you got to look around to see what's available. And the other thing though, is you want to watch what's called the peak power. I liked this size. 1400 watts isn't a big issue on my inverters at all. If we started getting into where we're actually talking 220 volts, and it's going to use 2 kilowatts of power, that can actually make a problem if I add up a bunch of the other peak powers. That's the other thing. You're going to be dealing with planning around peak power, planning appliances, and what sort of budget you have for your inverters and everything else. But today we're focused just on hot water. Now, I've got this attached up here, this thing, because what I'm gonna do now is we're gonna hook this up. We'll reposition the camera and everything like that. And I'm gonna show you what the temperature of the hot water coming out of here, the top relief valve, is into the bathtub. So you can see that. And then we'll run it through the mixing valve output, and you can see the differences in temperature. Okay guys, I'm refilming this. This is take 2 on this one. Cats, tripods, disasters. We'll go with that. Okay, so this is my crazy bypass output thing for stuff like that. If you're curious about it, there'll be a link appearing just in a second about one of my other things where I show how this works. But I can also use this to output the hot water and show you. We're going to do this in reverse order from what I said because I tells you the wrong thing. We're going to measure the water out of the output through the mixer, let the thing heat all the way back up, and then we'll measure the water out of here to see what the temperature looks like. Okay, so let me get a thermometer in this. All right, I have hot water coming out of this. We're using this kind of thermometer to get this, and we're just letting it run. And it's climbing up here, going up, and it should get to around right about 120 and just kind of stay there. Okay, I'll angle that, make certain it's very visible. Okay. So, yeah, it's quite warm in my hand. Wait for all the pipes to heat up and everything. And so about 118 something. It's still going up a little bit. Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty close to 120, right? Yeah, 119. Okay, let's make the flow go up a bit. And let's see. And it should drop and then come back up and stay about there. As the wax and all that melts and the valve readjusts, yeah, it's coming right back up. Now hopefully we've also used enough hot water to get this thing to get its thermostat going and to heat completely back up. Yeah, so we're there. It's going to be, 119 something. Okay, so you can see we're about where I want it to be, right around 120 degrees, which is real good. So let the thing heat up. Turn this off. There we go. Okay, get that off. And then we'll let the hot water tank heat all the way back up, and we'll measure out of the other side. Okay, the hot water heater is all heated back up. This should be significantly warmer than the stuff out of the mixing valve. Here we go. Yep, and it is quite a bit warmer and stuff. I'm gonna stop this because I am making quite the mess because I didn't fully waterproof it and I just set this PEX up for prototyping of the output. Now I've got a leak all over the place. Anyways, made enough to show the point. The water out of the top of here is a lot hotter. So you see what's going on. Now, let's recap. Thank you for sitting through this giant, long video. If you've made it this far, you're a true supporter. I appreciate it, and I do hope you're learning something. Now, you're probably thinking, well, it's a hot water tank, a small one, and I can see what your point is on that, Reed, but why not just heat a bunch of water up and put it in a super insulated container and all that? Well, one of the things that is difficult to do on that is when you're trying to mix the water, okay, you're going to need a separate pump to pump it in and a separate pump for the cold, okay, because it's a different sort of pressure system. So you got two things pumping in. It's hard to control the pump so one doesn't shut off and the other one spurts up and the other one turns off and the other one turns back on and they fight with each other going back and forth. You're going to need actually some careful electronics and proportioning valves and a whole bunch of stuff. It's not very easy. I learned that when I was trying it out myself and so on. Like if you watch the video I linked to earlier in this one, where it shows me doing hot water showers out of just a bucket and stuff, you can see kind of the pumping there. Now imagine using really hot water and you're trying to mix it in with the cold and so on. It's not very easy and stuff. Now a lot of the solar systems that do a hot water exchange and all that, I think they're a great system. I just don't have one right now. But one of the things I like about this is really easy to power under any conditions. The maintenance is close to zero. I just got to flush the hot water heater like any hot water heater, a couple parts and stuff like that. I'm good. And getting a spare and or put a second one in and have another spare, I'll be good for quite a long time. I know it's kind of weird and stuff like that. And we're actually, we have a 20-gallon one, but it uses a much higher wattage heating elements, and I can't run it off the solar and stuff like that. And it's been disconnected for years and such. But I did finally get off my rear end. I know I get busy. I get real busy. Everyone else probably gets busy too. And go look, hey, are there heating elements that would actually, make it heat up slower and that I could swap it in with? Sure, I can swap that in. So I could do a 20-gallon one without a problem, just take longer to heat. And because it's a bigger volume of water, it means I'd use more energy keeping it that hot. But, we could make an insulated box and some other things like that. So you can see what I'm thinking. But I like the idea of having a really hot thing of water, okay, and then mixing it down so like that. And if you can shrink it down to a smaller size, like I'm doing here, 7 gallons, or maybe you go to 14 if you need baths or you have more people and other stuff like that, or 20 if you got a lot more people. And like my wife says, hey, I want a bath. There you go, right? You're able to solve that a lot easier. You are actually getting a lot more efficiency on that. So I went and looked up like those big hybrid hot water heaters. What they are is they have a heating element and then they've got a heat pump. So a refrigeration system that's, taking the heat from the air and then putting it into the water and pushing the water up. The heating element is used for when it's really cold because heat pumps have trouble working at lower temperatures. So they have to turn the heating element on and get resistive heating, just like a regular electric hot water heater. Now those are considered super efficient hot water heaters. And you can tell some of them to only run with the refrigeration system, don't even turn the element on. I think there's a couple models, I've seen that in the specifications. So you could probably run them on the solar system a lot easier. Those are around 2 kilowatts. So I could definitely do that if I wanted one of those. And they're big, they're like 50, 60, 80 gallons and such. And so that's a lot of energy keeping that much water hot and so on. So, you'd need to insulate it extra and so. But I was like, well, what's the yearly projection? Those EPA stickers that say, this is how much energy it's going to use. Well, their yearly projection is $155 for the 50-gallon model. And then the bigger model, they get up from there to like $200 and something on electricity. Stuff like that. So, you can see I'm actually not really crazy. I'm not really on the expensive side. I'm on the efficiency side. Of course, I'm on a small amount of water. You can't call me efficient because I'm using resistive heating to do this. Yep. But it does accomplish what I needed. And the goal was I was chasing after a way to have hot water on demand and make it very easy to power off of solar systems and the inverters. Very simple. So I was looking for a very low peak power system that also wasn't going to suck the batteries dry overnight and so on and so forth. And this actually works really darn well for me. Really does. Really impressed with it. Like if you combined it with a solar system so you could have incoming water that was warmer, yeah, that'd help too. A lot more to investigate on this but you can see what I'm doing. Hope this was educational. I do hope you learned something and you can see that, yep, still crazy. Take care, everyone. This is Reed, out for now.